Tonight, as you lie here in the quiet, the world is finally a little softer. The notifications have stopped. The people you know are somewhere behind their own walls, their own glowing screens, their own unfinished stories. And you are here, with yourself. Maybe your body is tired, but your mind is still awake. Thoughts move in circles, returning to the same places again and again. Memories from years ago suddenly feel close, old words that were said to you. Moments you wish you could go back and fix or erase or live differently. This is the hour when you can't distract yourself as easily. The show is over. The phone is dim. The only thing left is the quiet truth that lives inside your chest. Tonight, instead of running away from that quiet, we're going to do something different. We're going to walk toward it, slowly and gently. We're going to listen. There is a part of you that has been waiting for this night for a very long time. A younger you, still holding pieces of the past. The version of you who didn't have the words, or the power, or the permission to say what they felt. That part of you never disappeared. It just learned to hide. Some people call it the inner child. You don't have to like the phrase. You can think of it simply as the unfinished you. The feelings that never got to complete their story. The tears that were swallowed because there was no safe place to cry. The questions that were never answered, so they became a knot inside your chest. If you listen closely, you can still feel that younger you at the edges of your awareness. In the sharp way you react to certain words, in the tightness in your throat when you try to speak up, in the way you sometimes feel small in rooms where nothing dangerous is actually happening. You have grown. You learn to act strong, to be capable, to carry responsibilities a child could never carry. From the outside, you might look composed, functioning, even successful. But inside, some part of you is still waiting in an old room, with old fears and old questions asking, do I matter? Am I safe? Will someone finally stay? Is it okay to be who I am? Tonight, we are not here to judge that younger you. We are not here to tell them they are dramatic, or too sensitive, or weak. They have heard that enough tonight. We are here to sit down beside them. You don't have to know exactly what happened in your past to feel its echo. Maybe your childhood was obviously painful. Maybe it looked normal from the outside, but inside you were always walking on eggshells. Maybe you were loved, but those who loved you were exhausted, distracted, or wounded themselves. Maybe no one ever hit you, but no one ever really saw you either. Invisible wounds can last just as long as visible ones, and sometimes they sink even deeper. As you lie here, let your body rest a little heavier into wherever you are. The bed, the couch, the mattress on the floor. Wherever your weight is being held, notice that you are supported. You don't have to hold yourself upright. You don't have to perform. There is nothing you need to do well right now. Your only task in this first part of the journey is simple. Listen. Listen to the thoughts that come up without rushing to silence them. Listen to the emotions that appear without telling them to go away. Listen to the part of you that you usually push down because you are too busy making it through the day. You might feel resistance. A voice in you might say, "This is pointless." Another might say, "Don't open this door. You'll fall apart." Those voices are not your enemies. They are the guards that were hired a long time ago, when you were small and had to protect yourself however you could. Maybe you learned to joke everything away. Maybe you became the responsible one, taking care of everyone else. Maybe you disappeared into fantasy, games, books, shows, anything to be somewhere that wasn't here. Maybe you learned that being quiet and good was the safest way to survive. All of those strategies were intelligent. They were the best solutions a young, scared mind could find. They helped you make it here, to this night. So before we ask anything to change, take a quiet moment to acknowledge this. You survived. Whatever happened, however messy, confusing, unfair or painful, you are still here, still breathing, still capable of listening to yourself. This is not nothing. This is the beginning of courage. As you listen now, you might notice images arising. A room from your childhood, a hallway, a playground, a kitchen table, the sound of a door closing, someone's footsteps, a tone of voice that always made your stomach tighten. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to dig through your mind like a detective. Just allow whatever wants to surface to be there, like small waves rising and falling on a dark ocean. If a memory comes, notice how it lives in your body. Where do you feel it? In your chest, your throat, your stomach, your jaw. The body remembers what the mind tries to ignore. Tonight, we are not here to fight the body. We are here to say, I see you. I hear you. You are not crazy. You were there. You felt what you felt. The child you once were did not have the luxury of understanding. They didn't know about stress, trauma, mental health, nervous systems. They only knew, when this happens, I feel scared. When they speak like this, I feel small. When they leave, I feel abandoned. When they are disappointed, I feel like I am wrong. When a child does not receive clear answers, they invent their own. And a lot of those answers sound like, it's my fault. I must be the problem. If I were different, this wouldn't be happening. Those conclusions can sit inside you for decades, coloring every relationship, every risk, every night when the lights go off and the distractions fall away. Tonight, we are going to begin asking a different question. Not, what is wrong with me? But what happened to me? Not, why am I like this? But what did I have to learn to survive? You are not lying here broken. You are lying here full of strategies that were built in a world that may no longer exist. The danger changed, but the alarm system stayed the same. As you listen, imagine that somewhere inside you there is a small room with a closed door. Behind that door is the younger you. They have been in there for a very long time, holding the feelings you didn't know what to do with. Fear, loneliness, confusion, anger that was never safe to express. They have been waiting for someone kind to knock, not to demand they get over it, not to lecture them, just to sit on the floor with them and say, tell me what it's like in here. Tonight, that someone is you. You might think, but I don't know how to do this. I am tired. I am flawed. I am the one who is struggling. Yes. And because you know what it means to struggle, you know exactly how to be gentle. You are not coming as a perfect parent. You are coming as a human who understands pain from the inside. For now, you don't need to open the door all the way. Just imagine yourself standing outside it, in the hallway of your inner world. You can see the door. You know who is behind it. Maybe your hand is resting on the handle. Maybe you just sit on the floor leaning against it from the outside. You are not turning away. You are not walking past. You are here, staying. Feel the simple power of that. After all the years of distraction, denial, rushing, and pretending, you are giving yourself something rare. Time, attention, presence. The younger you has never really had that from you. Not like this. Not with this much softness. You might feel sadness rising. You might feel nothing at all. Both are okay. Sometimes the heart needs time to trust that this visit is real. Sometimes it has to see you return more than once before it dares to open fully. Tonight is not about fixing everything. It is about beginning to relate to yourself in a new way, not as a problem to be solved, but as a story to be heard. As you continue to lie here, let your breath become a little slower. In and out. In and out. No forcing. Just a gentle reminder that air is coming and going without you having to control it. You have been controlling for a long time. Controlling your reactions, your words, your tears, your desires. Trying not to be too much, not to bother anyone, not to fail. But your breath has never demanded that. It has always moved on its own, carrying you through every age, every room, every version of yourself. Tonight, let your breath be a quiet teacher, a rhythm that says, over and over, you are still here. You have space. You are allowed to exist. The child behind the inner door hears that rhythm. They feel it through the wall. They may not come out yet, but for the first time in a long time, they sense that someone is on the other side who is not angry, not impatient, not distracted. Someone who is willing to listen. This is where our journey begins, not with a dramatic breakthrough, not with a sudden cure, but with you, on this night, choosing not to abandon yourself. As you drift deeper into this calm, remember, you do not have to understand everything at once. You do not have to remember everything at once. You only have to stay with yourself a little longer than you usually do, and let the story of that younger you slowly, gently begin to unfold. Before you ever had words for it, you were learning what love means. Long before you could explain yourself, argue, or make sense of anything, your body was already collecting evidence. Every look, every tone of voice, every touch or absence of touch was teaching you something. This is what it feels like to be me. This is what it means to be loved. This is what happens when I need. You did not learn this from books. You learned it from rooms, from faces, from the way people were present or absent with you. Imagine yourself as a very small child for a moment. You don't understand work, stress, trauma, or the complicated adult lives happening around you. All you know is, I cry. Do they come? I reach out. Do they respond? I show myself. Do they smile, or do they turn away? Every baby comes into the world wired to reach. You reached with your eyes, with your hands, with your voice. When you were hungry, lonely, scared, overwhelmed, your whole nervous system shouted the only way it knew how. In those moments, your caregivers were the entire universe. Sometimes the universe arrives quickly, warm arms, a gentle voice, someone who looks into your eyes and seems to actually see you, not just a task to be handled. In those moments, a deep message is written into your nervous system. When I reach, someone comes. When I'm in pain, I'm not alone. My needs are not a problem. This is one of the earliest forms of safety a human can feel. Not perfect parents, not a perfect house or perfect family, just a basic pattern. When I am hurting, someone tries to understand and help. But not every child grows up with that pattern. Maybe your caregivers loved you, but they were constantly overwhelmed. They were juggling bills, work, their own mental health, their own unhealed wounds. Maybe they were physically present but emotionally distant, lost in their own storms. Maybe they did their best, but their best still left you alone with feelings too big for a child to carry. So your body learned something different. Perhaps you cried and no one came, or they came angry, annoyed or mocking. Perhaps you learned that showing emotion made things worse, that tears brought punishment, not comfort. Maybe when you reached out, the answer was delayed, confusing, or inconsistent. Sometimes you were held, sometimes you were ignored, sometimes you were told you were fine, when every cell in your body was saying you were not fine at all. Children don't have the ability to say, my caregiver is overwhelmed, or my parent is emotionally unavailable, or this family carries generations of trauma. A child has no choice but to assume, it must be me. I must be the reason this feels so cold, so tense, so unpredictable. Without realizing it, you started writing rules inside yourself. Don't bother people with your needs. Don't cry, it only makes them angry. If I do everything right, maybe they'll be proud. If I fail, I'll lose everything. If I stay small and quiet, maybe I won't be a burden. These rules were never spoken out loud, but they became the invisible laws of your inner world. They shaped how you reached for love, or stopped reaching altogether. Psychologists sometimes talk about attachment, the patterns we form early in life about what relationships are like. But you don't need the technical words to recognize the feeling. Maybe you notice it in yourself, the part of you that panics when someone pulls away, because deep down you expect to be left. Or the part of you that refuses to rely on anyone, because needing has always felt dangerous or humiliating. Or the part that feels numb and distant, even with people who care about you, because closeness never felt entirely safe. All of this began with a small child trying to make sense of inconsistent love. If your early world was mostly gentle and responsive, you learned that people can be trusted, that you are worth caring about, that your feelings make sense. If your early world was chaotic, distant, critical, or filled with shame, you learned that love is something you have to earn, perform for, or chase, or something that hurts and should be avoided. As you lie here tonight, you might start to see some of these patterns in your own story. Maybe you remember waiting by a window for someone who was always late, or never came. Maybe you remember being praised only when you achieved something, a grade, a performance, a perfect behavior, and feeling invisible the rest of the time. Maybe you remember trying to be funny to lighten the mood in the house, becoming the entertainer, so the tension in the air wouldn't explode. Maybe you remember hiding in your room, in books, in games, in fantasy worlds, because the world outside your door felt too unpredictable. Each of these moments taught your inner child something about what it takes to be loved. Some children respond by clinging harder. They become hyper-aware of every change in mood, every sigh, every silence. They scan the room like little emotional detectives, always looking for signs they are about to be rejected or abandoned. As adults, this can become that aching fear of being left, the anxiety that rises when a message is not answered right away, the constant sense of, I'm too much, and any moment now they will realize it and go. Other children respond by turning away. Reaching hurts too much, so they learn to reach less. They teach themselves not to need, not to hope for comfort, not to expect anyone to really show up. As adults, this can become that cool distance others feel around you, the I'm fine, I don't need anyone mask, the way you shut down when things get too close, even though some secret part of you aches for exactly the closeness you keep pushing away. And some children simply go numb. Their system is so overwhelmed that it's easier not to feel at all. They become good at being okay, good at managing, good at functioning, while inside they feel like ghosts in their own lives. However your younger self adapted, those adaptations were intelligent. They were based on the only data you had, your own home, your own caregivers, the way they did or did not meet you. You might feel tempted, even now, to blame yourself. You might look back and think, I was too sensitive, I overreacted, I should have been stronger, calmer, better. But a child's sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a radar, a survival tool. You were not too sensitive. You were accurately reading a world that was sometimes too harsh, too loud, too distant for someone your size. If you could see a child today living what you lived, you would not tell them, you're overreacting. You would see how their shoulders tense when someone raises a voice. You would see how their eyes search for approval. You would notice how quickly they apologize, even when they did nothing wrong. You might feel your chest tighten with protectiveness, anger, tenderness. That same protectiveness is allowed to exist for you too. It can be painful to admit how much your early environment shaped you. It's easier in some ways to tell yourself it was all random, that you simply turned out this way, But acknowledging the truth is not about blaming your caregivers forever. It is about taking your story seriously. You are allowed to say, I learned fear where I should have learned safety. I learned shame where I should have learned acceptance. I learned to disappear where I should have learned to show up as myself. As you lie here, gently notice what happens inside you when you hear those words. Do you feel a small yes somewhere in your body? A sadness? A resistance? Do you feel yourself wanting to argue, to defend your parents, to say they had it worse or they did their best? All of that is normal. The goal is not to turn your story into a courtroom with you on one side and your family on the other. The goal is simply to admit that the child in you had experiences that left marks of fear, marks of doubt, marks of feeling too much or never enough. You can hold two truths at once: that the people who raised you had their own wounds and limits, and that some of those limits hurt you. You can feel compassion for them and tenderness for yourself at the same time. Think of one small example from your past. Not the worst thing, just something simple. Maybe you got scared at night and went to your parents' room, and they snapped at you to go back to bed. Maybe you brought home something you were proud of and received only a shrug. Maybe you cried and were told, "Stop being dramatic," or "Big kids don't cry." To an adult, it might sound trivial. To a child, those moments are huge. Each one whispers, "Your feelings are inconvenient. Your needs are too much. Hide them better next time." Over hundreds of moments like that, a quiet vow is formed inside. Next time, I won't ask. Next time, I won't show. Next time, I'll handle it alone. You may still be living by that vow. Tonight, as you breathe, pay attention to how automatic it feels to dismiss your own feelings. When an emotion rises, do you immediately judge it? When a need appears, for comfort, support, kindness, do you instinctively push it away, telling yourself, "Don't be weak," or "You should be over this by now"? Those reflexes are not proof that you're broken. They are proof that your inner child is still following the rules they had to create to survive. But you are not that helpless child anymore. You have more choices now than you did then. The world that wrote those rules no longer exists exactly as it did. The people you depended on are no longer giants towering over you with absolute power. Some are far away. Some have changed. Some are no longer here at all. And you are taller, older, stronger, more aware. And yet inside, the lessons of love and fear have remained frozen in time. Tonight we are gently thawing them. You do not have to rewrite everything at once. You do not need to force yourself to suddenly trust people, or open up, or be vulnerable, in ways that feel unsafe, that would only repeat the old violence of pushing yourself too hard. Instead, we start with something quieter. Seeing clearly. Seeing that the way you relate to love now is not random. It has a history. Seeing that the way you cling or pull away or go numb was once a brilliant solution for a very small person in a very big world. Seeing that every time you feel scared to depend on someone, every time you expect to be left, every time you struggle to believe you deserve to be treated gently, there is a younger you inside saying, "I remember how this goes. I know what happens next." Later, we will offer that younger you new experiences, new answers. But right now, the medicine is understanding. As you lie here, imagine again that inner hallway with the closed door from the first chapter. This time, look around. Notice that the hallway is part of a larger house, the house of your memories. On the walls, there are small frames. In each frame, a scene. You at different ages, learning about love in your own quiet way. You don't need to stare at any frame for too long. Just walk slowly, breathing, noticing. There you are, perhaps watching your parents argue and feeling your stomach twist. There you are, receiving praise only when you excel. There you are, invisible in the corner, entertaining yourself so you don't add to anyone's stress. There you are, being the strong one, far earlier than any child should have to be strong. As you walk past these pictures, imagine whispering to each younger version of you, you are not wrong to want more. You are not wrong to need comfort. You are not wrong to be afraid. Let that sentence hang in the air for a moment. You are not wrong to want more. For a child, wanting more love, more attention, more calm, more gentleness is not greed. It is nature. Children are supposed to lean on adults. They are supposed to cry, to reach, to ask. If that was not welcomed in your world, the problem was never your nature. The problem was the environment that could not meet it. Feeling this can bring grief. A grief for what you didn't get, for how long you have lived with less. If that grief rises in your chest, don't rush to push it down. Let it move gently through you like a slow tide. You do not need to analyze it. Just breathe with it. You might feel a heaviness behind your eyes, a lump in your throat, a weight in your heart. That is the sound of your inner child finally hearing someone on their side. You may not have had a witness then, but you can be a witness now. As you settle deeper into the night, remember, the way you learned love is not your fault, but healing that pattern can become your gift to yourself and to those around you. You are allowed to build a different kind of inner home, one where needs are not embarrassing, where feelings are not treated as flaws, where fear is met with presence instead of punishment. Tonight, we are not yet rebuilding the house. We are just walking through it with the lights on for the first time, seeing the rooms where love and fear were mixed together. In the next part of this journey, we will go further into the rules your inner child wrote to survive, the masks you had to wear, the parts of yourself you hid away, and how those hidden parts became the shadow you carry into your adult life. For now, let your breath slow again. Feel the way the air moves in and out, quietly marking time, while the story of how you learned love continues to unfold inside you. Gently, honestly, at a pace your heart can handle. As a child, you didn't just learn what love felt like. You also learned what parts of you were welcome and what parts were not. Every family, every school, every culture has invisible rules. Some are spoken out loud. Don't talk back. Be polite. We don't cry in this house. Others are silent, but you feel them in the air. Who is praised? Who is ignored? Who is mocked? Who is taken seriously? You quickly understood what versions of you were safest to show. Imagine yourself as that younger you again, standing in front of a mirror you didn't know existed. This mirror was made from your caregivers' faces, their reactions, their moods. When you were loud and playful, what did the mirror show you? Approval, annoyance, laughter? When you were sad or angry, what did the mirror show? Comfort, mockery, coldness. Bit by bit, you started to build a mask. Psychologists call this mask the persona, the version of yourself you present to the world in order to be accepted, loved, or at least tolerated. It is not fake. It is made of real parts of you, but it is not the whole truth. Maybe your mask was the good child, quiet, obedient, always helpful, never causing trouble. Maybe your mask was the funny one, always cracking jokes, making everyone laugh so they wouldn't notice your pain. Maybe you became the achiever, bringing home grades and trophies like offerings to the gods of approval. Maybe you became the caretaker, acting older than your age, worrying about everyone else's feelings while no one noticed yours. Underneath that mask, however, something else was happening. Every time you sensed that a part of you was unwelcome, you pushed it down and away from the mirror. Your anger when you were treated unfairly. Your sadness when nobody listened. Your jealousy when someone else got the attention you were starving for. Your wildness, your creativity, your loudness, your tenderness. There was no safe place to put those parts, so they didn't disappear. They moved into the shadows. Carl Jung called this the shadow, not because it is evil, but because it lives outside the light of acceptance. The shadow is everything you had to hide in order to survive. It is made of the emotions that made others uncomfortable, the desires that no one knew how to handle, the needs that were too big for your environment. When a child hears, "Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about," they learn that tears are dangerous. When they hear, "Why are you so sensitive?" they learn that their sensitivity is a problem. When they're mocked for their joy or shamed for their curiosity, they learn that it's safer to shrink. So the tears go into the shadow, the sensitivity goes into the shadow. The joy and curiosity go into the shadow. They are still there, but now they appear as something else. Anxiety, numbness, tension, confusion, unexplained sadness. As you lie here, think about the roles you played growing up. Did you always try to be perfect? Did you try to be invisible? Did you play the clown to diffuse tension? Did you become the overachiever, the rebel, the peacemaker? Each role came with a costume, certain behaviors, certain emotions allowed on stage, others banned. Maybe you were allowed to be smart but not needy, responsible but not angry, playful but not serious, strong but never vulnerable. The parts you weren't allowed to show didn't stop existing. They simply moved behind the scenes and began to act out in secret ways. That anger you never expressed may now appear as a sudden explosion over something small, or as chronic irritation with everyone around you. The sadness you couldn't share may show up as a heaviness you can't explain, a cloud that follows you even on good days. The need for love you were told to get over may reappear as desperate clinging or complete avoidance in relationships. The shadow is not your enemy. It is a storage room full of pieces of you that were once rejected. But if you never look into that room, if you keep the door locked, the things you have hidden there start to control your life from the dark. You project them onto others, seeing in them what you can't accept in yourself. You judge people harshly for traits you secretly possess. You get triggered by behaviors that mirror your own hidden feelings. Maybe there is someone in your life whose anger you hate, but if you were honest, your own anger is terrifying, so you bury it. Maybe you resent people who always need attention, yet deep down you ache to be seen just as much. Maybe you look down on those who can't get their life together, while a part of you is exhausted from how hard you force yourself to keep yours looking tidy. As you listen, try a gentle question. What did I have to hide to be loved? Did you have to hide your fear because you were told to man up or stop being a baby? Did you have to hide your talent because others felt threatened or jealous? Did you have to hide your joy because others were depressed and you didn't want to upset them? Did you have to hide your pain because there was no space for it? Whatever you had to hide, that is where the shadow formed. You may also have parts of yourself you disowned, not because someone attacked them, but because no one reflected them back. If nobody noticed your creativity, you may have concluded it wasn't real. If nobody cared about your imagination, you may have left it behind with your toys. These too live in the shadow, not as shameful things, but as forgotten treasures. Imagine your inner child, for a moment, standing with their arms full of different colours. The red of anger, the blue of sadness, the yellow of joy, the green of curiosity, the purple of desire. Each time they tried to bring a colour into the room and someone flinched, frowned or criticised, they quietly stepped back and put that colour behind their back. Over time, the colours behind them multiplied, while the colours they were allowed to hold in front of them narrowed into a small, safe palette. Maybe you learned that only grey and beige were acceptable, Calm, manageable, not too intense. Living in only 2 colors is safe, but it is not the same as being fully alive. As an adult, you might feel something missing without knowing what. You might feel like you are performing your life rather than living it. You might feel fake, even when you are doing nothing wrong. Men and women all over the world carry this sense of inner split. The me I show and the me I keep hidden. Tonight, in this quiet space, you are allowed to be curious about the hidden one. You don't need to rip off the mask you needed for so long. It kept you safe. It helped you navigate school, family, work, relationships. To this day, your ability to adapt, to read the room, to manage yourself is a skill we respect that. But alongside that respect, there can also be an invitation to peek behind the mask and notice the face underneath. The face that is tired of pretending to be fine when it isn't. The face that wants to cry without apologizing. The face that wants to laugh too loud, to say what it really thinks, to ask for a hug without feeling stupid. The face that wants to say no when everyone expects a yes. That face belongs to your shadow, not a monster, but a neglected self. In Jung's view, healing does not mean erasing the shadow. It means making it conscious, bringing light into the places you abandoned so you can reclaim their energy. Your anger, when understood, becomes the power to protect yourself and set boundaries. Your sadness, when honored, becomes depth and empathy. Your fear, when listened to, becomes intuition. As you breathe slowly, imagine turning toward that inner storage room. The door is closed, but you can sense movement behind it. Not a horror movie, just boxes and shapes and colors you haven't sorted through in years. You don't have to open it fully tonight. Remember, we are gentle. Simply acknowledge that it exists. Maybe you put your hand on the doorknob in your mind and whisper, I know you're there. I haven't forgotten you. I will come back. Your inner child, hiding in that shadowy room, hears that promise. In the chapters ahead, we will gradually meet more of what you hid. The inner critic that took over when your caregiver's voices became your own. The way your nervous system still reacts as if you are small. The patterns in love and work that repeat like old scripts. For now, simply rest in the knowing that there is more to you than the mask you learned to wear. As you lie here in the dark, remember, the point is not to shame yourself for wearing a mask. The point is to slowly, kindly, make sure that underneath the mask, the real you is no longer completely alone. Long after certain memories fade, your body still remembers. You might not recall every argument, every slammed door, every time you felt small or unwanted. Whole days, months, years of your life may be a blur, but your chest remembers the tightness. Your stomach remembers the knots. Your throat remembers closing up when you tried to speak. Your muscles remember bracing for something bad, even when nothing is happening now. As you lie here, pay attention for a moment to your body, not as an enemy, but as a storyteller. Notice your shoulders. Do they sit relaxed, or are they slightly raised, as if still expecting a blow? Notice your chest. Does it expand fully when you inhale, or does it feel stuck, shallow, like it hits an invisible wall? Notice your belly. Is it soft or pulled in, as if trying to make itself smaller? Notice your hands. Are they loose or curled into fists without you realizing? Your body is not random. It learned these shapes. When you were small, your nervous system was like a highly sensitive antenna. It was always scanning. Safe or unsafe. Welcome or unwelcome. In danger or okay. You did not have the luxury to sit and think, this household seems emotionally unstable. Your body simply reacted, heart racing, muscles tightening, breath becoming fast or frozen. If raised voices usually meant something bad was about to happen, Your body learned to tense the moment volume went up. If footsteps in the hallway meant someone angry was approaching, your heart learned to race at the sound. If silence meant unpredictable moods, your body learned that even quiet could be threatening. These patterns didn't vanish just because you grew older, moved out, or knew better. Today, the danger might look different. It may be an email notification at work, a short message from someone you care about, a bill, a phone call, a look on someone's face. But your body still uses the same old survival buttons: fight, flight, freeze or fawn. Fight, snapping, getting angry, wanting to attack or defend before you even know why. Flight, needing to escape, to run, to change the subject, to scroll endlessly, to leave the room. Freeze, going blank, numb, spaced out, unable to move or think, feeling like your mind just shuts down. Fawn, immediately pleasing, apologizing, fixing, smoothing things over so no one is upset with you. None of these responses mean you are weak or broken. They mean your body is trying to protect you in the only ways it knows. Your inner child did not have the language for trauma, stress response, or nervous system. They just knew. When this happens, I feel like I might die. When they're angry, my whole world shakes. When I'm alone, I feel like I disappear. That is how big emotions feel to a small body. So the body adapted, muscles tightened, breath shallowed, the heart raced, stress chemicals surged, ready for danger. If the danger was rare and followed by comfort, the body learned to relax again. It learned, okay, I can come back down. I am held. I am safe now. But if the danger was frequent, unpredictable, or never properly repaired, the body stayed ready, always slightly on edge, never fully at rest. You might still be living with that readiness now. Maybe you find it hard to relax, even when you have nothing to do. The moment you sit still, an itch to move, check your phone, or do something appears. Rest feels wrong, undeserved, or even scary. Maybe a small change in someone's tone sends a full wave of panic through you. Your mind says, it's probably nothing, but your body reacts as if it's everything. You might also notice that at night, when the world slows down, your body's stored tension becomes louder. During the day, you can override it with activity. At night, lying in the dark, the tightness, the buzzing, the strange sensations become harder to ignore. This is not your body betraying you. This is your body finally having enough silence to be heard. Instead of fighting it, tonight we can begin to listen gently. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine that you are telling your body, I see you. You have carried a lot. You didn't imagine it. It was real. You don't have to dive into every memory. You don't have to relive anything. You are simply acknowledging that the way your body reacts today has roots in yesterday. Think of some of the ways your body reacts now. Maybe you get headaches before difficult conversations. Maybe your stomach hurts every Sunday night before work. Maybe your heart races when you receive a message from certain people. Maybe you freeze when someone raises their voice, even if they're not yelling at you. It's easy to call yourself dramatic or too sensitive when this happens. But what if, instead, you took these reactions as messages? Not proof that you're broken, but signals from an organism that has been in survival mode for a long time. A child who grows up in unpredictable chaos learns to sleep lightly, to listen for every sound, to be ready to jump. A child who grows up with emotional neglect learns to disconnect from their own sensations because feeling them hurts too much. As an adult, sleeping deeply, relaxing your guard, or fully feeling your body can still feel unsafe, even if your actual life now is safer than the old one. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a measure of how much you had to absorb without help. The good news is this: what was learned can be softened. You cannot erase your body's history, but you can give it new experiences. You can show it that not every raised voice means danger, not every silence means abandonment, not every conflict ends in disaster. You can become a reliable presence for yourself in ways no one could be for you when you were small. One of the simplest ways to begin is to notice your breath. Not to force it, not to breathe correctly to satisfy some idea, but to witness it. Watch the air enter and leave. Feel the slight coolness as it comes in, the warmth as it goes out. Your breath has been with you in every room of your life. It has been there in tears, in laughter, in fear, in boredom, in joy. It is the quiet companion that never left, even when everyone else did. As you pay attention to your breathing, you may feel some parts of your body want to loosen. Others may feel even tighter at first. That's okay change, even positive change, can feel unfamiliar. You can say to those tense places inwardly, you don't have to relax all at once. Take your time. I'm not here to force you. I'm here to stay. Sometimes the body holds on because it doesn't trust that it is finally safe to let go. For years, relaxing might have meant being unprepared. In a home where things could turn bad quickly, staying tense was intelligent. Your body learned, if I stay ready, maybe I can protect myself. Now, when life is calmer, that same readiness is still active. So when you ask your muscles to relax, a deeper part of you thinks, are you sure? Is it really safe? You can answer gently, we're not in that house anymore. We're not that small anymore. I'm here now. I'm watching. You're not alone. You might think of your nervous system as a frightened animal you're trying to befriend. If you corner an animal and yell at it to relax, it will only panic more. If you sit quietly nearby, speak softly, move slowly, over time it may come closer. Your body's the same. If you have a memory of being told to calm down in a harsh way, you might even associate relaxation with shame. Someone might have mocked you for trembling, crying, or panicking. They might have said you were overreacting or doing it for attention. The next time you felt overwhelmed, you didn't just feel fear, you felt guilt for feeling fear. So now, when your body reacts, you don't just feel the primary emotion, you also feel a second layer of self-judgment. Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? That second layer is often more painful than the first. Tonight, you have permission to remove that second layer. You cannot always stop your heart from racing or your muscles from tensing, but you can choose not to attack yourself for it. You can say, of course you're on edge. You learned that the world isn't always safe. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're trying to protect me. Let's try something simple now. Bring your attention to one area where you feel tension most often. Maybe your chest, your throat, your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach. Gently place a hand there, if you can. Feel the warmth of your own touch. As you breathe, imagine your breath flowing into that area on the inhale and flowing out on the exhale. You don't have to force anything to change, just breathe and notice. In your mind, you can speak to that part. You've been tight for a long time. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. You don't have to relax completely right now. But if you want to soften just a little, that's okay. Maybe nothing changes immediately. That's okay too. This is not a magic trick. This is a relationship. Your body has spent years trying to protect the child you once were. Tonight, you are beginning to protect your body in return, with patience, with listening, with the simple decision not to fight yourself anymore. You can also notice how certain environments make your body feel. Are there people with whom your shoulders always rise? Are there rooms where your stomach always knots? Are there places, a park, a quiet street, a certain cafe, where your body naturally softens, even for a moment? Your body is giving you information about what feels safe and what doesn't. You may not always be able to change your surroundings, but you can start to trust that this information is valuable. In time, you might make different choices about who you spend time with, how you work, how you rest, based not just on what you should do, but on what your body quietly tells you. There is also something healing in very small physical acts of safety. A warm drink held in your hands, a blanket wrapped around you, a shower where you let the water run over your back and imagine it washing away static from the day standing barefoot on the floor and feeling the solid ground under you, looking around the room and quietly noting door, window, wall, bed lamp, letting your senses remind you that you are here now, not trapped in an old moment. These acts won't erase deep pain overnight, but they send tiny signals. We are in the present. We are not in the old house. We are not in the old argument. We are here. Over time, these signals accumulate. Your system begins to trust that it doesn't have to be on red alert every second. The volume of the alarm can come down, even if it never goes completely silent. You might wonder where Stoicism and compassion come into this chapter of the body. Stoicism reminds you not to catastrophize every body sensation. A fast heartbeat does not always mean danger. A knot in your stomach does not always mean disaster. They may be echoes, not actual threats. You can say, "Thank you, body, for warning me. Let's look around. Are we truly in danger right now, or is this an old pattern?" Compassion, once again, changes the tone. Instead of seeing your body as a faulty machine that needs fixing, you see it as a loyal friend that has been on guard for too long. You don't yell at a friend who is shaking after a loud noise. You sit with them until they calm down. As your breathing slowly deepens, feel the weight of your limbs. Imagine each exhale is you saying to your muscles, you don't have to hold everything by yourself. Imagine the bed or couch or mattress beneath you saying, "I've got you. You can give some of that weight to me." Your mind may still wander. That's okay. Thoughts might come about tomorrow, about the past, about whether you're doing this right. Each time, you can gently return to the sensations in your body, the rise and fall of your chest, the contact with the surface beneath you, the warmth of your own hand. You have spent so long living in your head, trying to think your way out of pain. Tonight, you are doing something different. You are including your body in the conversation. The child in you has lived inside this body the whole time. Every flinch, every brace, every stomach ache was their way of saying, something doesn't feel safe. They were not wrong to send those signals. What was missing was someone to hear them and respond with care. Now, that someone is you. As you begin to drift towards sleep, let one thought settle gently. My body is not my enemy. It is a record of everything I survived, and I am learning to listen to it with respect, not fear. If your muscles are still tense, they can be tense. If your heart is still beating fast, it can beat fast. There is no test to pass before you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to rest even while you're still learning, even while your body is still unwinding from years of vigilance. Let your breath move at its own pace. Let your eyes grow heavier. Let your body be exactly as it is in this moment, without demanding that it be different. You have started a new relationship with it tonight, one built on listening instead of fighting. That, by itself, is a profound step in healing the child within you, who has always lived in this body, waiting for someone to finally say, "I hear you. I'm here. You don't have to carry this alone anymore." The patterns of your childhood did not stay in childhood. They followed you into every corner of your adult life, quietly shaping how you love, how you work, how you rest, and how you treat yourself when no one is looking. You might have asked yourself more than once, why do I keep ending up in the same situations? You promise you'll choose differently, handle things better, walk away sooner, and yet the same kind of pain finds you again. It can be tempting to conclude that you are cursed, broken, or doomed. But what if it's not a curse? What if it's a map? A map drawn long ago by a child who was trying to survive. Your inner child did not read books on psychology. They didn't know words like attachment, trauma, or self-worth. They just watched, felt, and learned. They learned what love felt like in your house. They learned what anger did. They learned what happened when they were honest, or needy, or loud, or weak. And from those lessons, they drew a map of how relationships work. That map is still inside you. When love appears in your life now, that map flares to life. If you grew up with emotional distance, you may feel drawn to people who are distant. You might call it chemistry when someone is hard to read. You might feel a strange comfort in chasing someone who never quite fully chooses you. A partner who is stable, attentive, and emotionally available may feel unfamiliar, even suspicious. A part of you might think, this is too easy, there must be something wrong. If you grew up with chaos, you may confuse peace with boredom. Your nervous system is used to spikes, anger, drama, highs and lows. When a relationship feels steady, you might feel restless, like something is missing. Sometimes without meaning to, you might even stir up conflict, because your body knows how to live in storms better than in calm. If you grew up being criticized, you might tolerate partners who criticize you. A cruel or dismissive remark may hit an old, familiar place. A small part of you might nod and think, yes, that sounds like the truth about me. Compliments, on the other hand, might feel uncomfortable, unbelievable, or even threatening. You might brush them off or joke them away. Peaceful love can feel unsafe when all you've known is conditional love. Your inner child keeps asking the same questions it asked back then. Is this person going to leave? Will I be punished if I speak up? Do I have to perform to be kept? Is it safe to be myself, or should I play a role? So when your partner doesn't respond quickly, you may feel abandonment rising in your chest, even if they're just busy. When they seem upset, you may instantly assume it's your fault, even if it isn't. When they want closeness, you might feel the old fear of being smothered or controlled, and suddenly you need distance. This isn't because you are dramatic or incapable of love. It's because you are trying to protect the child in you from reliving old pain. The wound also shows up at work. Maybe you became the reliable one, the person who always says yes, who takes on extra tasks, who fixes messes others leave behind. Maybe you work long after everyone else has gone home, driven by a fear that if you slow down, you'll be exposed as lazy, fake, or replaceable. No amount of praise is enough. The inner critic always finds new evidence that you haven't done enough. Or perhaps you swing to the other side. You freeze when faced with new projects. You procrastinate, paralyzed by the fear of failure. Your mind tells you, if I don't try, I can't really fail. Deep down, the child in you still remembers what it felt like to be mocked or punished for not getting it right. So you stay in the safe zone, dreams in your head, but not in action. Perfectionism and procrastination are not opposites. They are two faces of the same fear. Even in small daily habits, the wound speaks. Maybe you apologize constantly, even when you've done nothing wrong. Maybe you apologize for existing, for messaging, for taking up space. Maybe you over-explain yourself because you expect people to misunderstand or accuse you. Maybe you cannot rest without guilt. You clean, work, scroll, help others, anything to avoid the feeling that you're failing by doing nothing. Or maybe you disappear. You scroll until your mind goes blank, binge watch until your emotions go quiet, eat or drink until you feel comfortably numb, not because you're weak, but because being fully present in your own life still feels like too much. Think of how you react when someone is slightly disappointed in you. Does your entire body brace? Do you rush to fix it, to smooth it over, to please them? Do you replay the moment in your mind for hours afterwards? That reaction is not just about them. It is about every time you felt that disappointment as a child and concluded that your worth was on the line. As you lie here, pick one area of your life to look at gently. Love, friendships, work, or your relationship with yourself. Instead of asking, "Why am I like this?" ask, "What is this part of me trying to protect?" If you find yourself clinging in relationships, perhaps that part is terrified of being abandoned again. If you find yourself pushing people away, perhaps that part is terrified of being swallowed, criticized, or controlled. If you find yourself always saying yes, perhaps that part learned that no is dangerous. If you find yourself sabotaging good things, perhaps that part believes good things don't last and wants to end them before someone else does. Every self-sabotaging behavior protects you from a deeper fear. Imagine each behavior as a small child raising their hand, saying, "When I do this, I'm trying to keep us safe. I know it doesn't look smart from the outside, but back then, it was the only way I knew." You are allowed to say to that child, "I see why you chose this. It made sense then, but now we have more options." In love, that might mean learning to tolerate the discomfort of stable affection, letting a good thing be good without scanning constantly for the moment it will collapse. It might mean choosing people who are kind but slightly less exciting than the chaotic ones you're used to. It might mean learning to say, "I feel hurt," instead of disappearing. At work, it might mean experimenting with being good enough instead of perfect. It might mean taking a break before you're on the edge of collapse. It might mean allowing yourself to try things you're not already great at, accepting that being a beginner is not a crime. In daily life, it might mean noticing one small pattern, apologizing, over-explaining, numbing with screens, and opening a tiny space between the impulse and the action, breathing there, asking, "What am I afraid of right now?" And then choosing, even once, a slightly kinder response. You are not going to dismantle a lifetime of conditioning in a single night, but you don't have to. You only have to begin to see that these patterns are not you failing at life. They are the child in you doing their best to protect you from feeling helpless, humiliated, or unloved again. That same child is also capable of learning. As you listen to your breath and feel your body resting, imagine your adult self standing beside your inner child at a crossroads. One path is the old path, familiar, worn, automatic. The path of always saying yes, always blaming yourself, always choosing what hurts because it feels like home. The other path is new, narrow, less clear, but lit by a softer light. The path where you pause before reacting, where you ask what you really need, where you choose people and situations that feel respectful, even if they are unfamiliar. You do not need to sprint down the new path. You just need to take one small step. Tomorrow that step might look like saying, "I need a moment," instead of forcing yourself to respond instantly. It might look like letting a kind message sink in instead of dismissing it. It might look like resting for 10 minutes without calling yourself lazy. Every small choice made from awareness rather than fear is a way of rewriting the map. The wound will still speak. The old map will still try to pull you back. But now you know, it is not a curse. It is not proof that you are broken. It is a story, written by a child with limited information. You are allowed to become the author now. As the night holds you, let this understanding settle. Everything you struggle with in love, work, and daily life has roots. You do not have to hate yourself for the roots. You only have to decide, gently, that you are willing to grow in a different direction. When you start to see how much of your life has been shaped by old pain, it can feel heavy. You might think, if so much of who I am came from fear, can I ever really change? Or am I just acting out the same script forever? This is where Stoic wisdom steps in, not as cold philosophy, but as a calm friend. The Stoics lived in a world that was often brutal and unpredictable. Wars, exile, disease, loss. They asked, how can a person stay grounded when so much is outside their control? Their answer began with a simple, powerful idea. There is what happens and there is what we tell ourselves it means. Most of your life, that second part, the meaning, has been written by your inner child, guided by old fear. A friend doesn't text back. They hate me. You make a mistake at work. I'm useless. You feel tired. I'm failing. The event is small. The story is huge. The Stoics invite you into a pause between event and story. Imagine someone you care about walks past you without saying hello. Your inner child might instantly think, they're mad at me. I did something wrong. Your chest tightens. Maybe you avoid them for the rest of the day, or send needy messages, or withdraw completely. But look at the facts. A person walked past you without greeting you. That is all you truly know. Everything else, they're angry. I did something wrong. They secretly hate me. Is your mind filling in the blanks with old ink? A Stoic inner voice would say, let's separate facts from judgments. Fact, they didn't say hello. Judgment, that means I am unworthy. The judgment feels automatic because it matches your childhood experiences, but feeling automatic does not make it true. This doesn't mean you use logic to bulldoze your feelings. Stoicism is not about gaslighting yourself. It is about adding another voice to the inner room, a voice that can hold your feelings and still ask, is my interpretation the only possible one? Maybe they were distracted. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe they were lost in their own thoughts. Maybe they didn't even see you. Your child mind assumes it's about you, because for a child, everything is about them. An adult mind can consider more possibilities. You can apply this to your past as well. As a child, you might have thought, they shout because I'm bad. They leave because I'm not lovable. They ignore me because I'm boring. Those explanations hurt, but they gave you a sense of control. If I change, they'll change. The alternative, that the adults were limited, unhealed, or incapable, was too frightening to face. From a Stoic viewpoint, the facts might look like this. Fact, my parents shouted often. Fact, they called me names. Fact, they withdrew affection when I didn't perform. Judgment, I am fundamentally wrong and unlovable. Recognizing that the judgment is a story, not a fact, doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you space to breathe. It allows you to say, maybe the conclusion my child self reached is not the only conclusion available. Stoicism is also about recognizing what is and is not in your control. You did not choose where you were born, who raised you, what those people had been through, how stable or unstable your environment was. You did not choose your childhood map that was given to you. But now, as an adult, you have some choices the child never had. You can choose which thoughts to believe. You can choose which behaviors to repeat. You can choose who you spend time with. You can choose how you speak to yourself when you struggle. When old shame rises, the inner critic might say, you always do this. You're hopeless. A Stoic, informed voice might respond, in this moment, I made a mistake. That is all. I can learn. I am not the worst person on earth because of this. When anxiety hits, your inner child might scream, we're not safe. Disaster is coming. The Stoic voice might say, something in me is afraid. That's understandable. But what do I actually know right now? What's in my control in this hour? You are not trying to silence feeling with philosophy. You are offering your feeling a kinder frame. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic writer, reminded himself daily that his worth did not depend on external outcomes. Praise, success, popularity. He knew he could not control what others thought of him, only the quality of his own actions and intentions. You can make a similar shift inside. Your inner child still thinks, if they approve of me, I'm okay. If they disapprove, I'm nothing. The Stoic within you can say, I want to be kind, honest, and responsible, because that aligns with my values, not because it guarantees I'll never be rejected. Rejection still hurts, but it does not become a death sentence. As you lie here, think of one situation where you usually attack yourself. Maybe it's when you run late. Maybe it's when you forget something. Maybe it's when you feel anxious in social situations. Picture the last time it happened. Hear what your critic said. Now imagine a calm, stoic mentor sitting beside you, speaking to you as they would to a dear friend. What might they say? Being late once doesn't make you worthless. You can apologize and do better next time. Everyone forgets things. You're human, not a machine. Feeling anxious in a crowd doesn't mean you're broken. It means your nervous system is sensitive. You can still participate in ways that feel manageable. This is not about sugarcoating reality. If you hurt someone, you can admit it and repair. If you neglect responsibilities, you can own that and adjust. Stoicism values integrity, but it does not confuse behavior with identity. You are not your worst moment. You are not your most frightened reaction. You are not the sum of other people's judgments. At night, when old memories replay, you can bring stoic clarity to them. You might recall a painful scene and feel the old shame rise. Instead of drowning in it, you can say, yes, that happened. Yes, it hurt. But the story I told myself then, that I was the problem, that I was unlovable, was written by a scared child. I can write a different story now. You can even use a simple question. If my best friend told me this story about their life, would I judge them as harshly as I judge myself? The answer is almost always no. Stoicism does not ask you to stop feeling. It asks you to stop believing every thought that appears in your mind, especially the ones that sound suspiciously like voices from your past. As you breathe gently, imagine you are holding in one hand your old story. I am broken. It's all my fault. Nothing will change. In the other hand, you hold a new story. I was shaped by things I did not choose. I made mistakes. I suffer, and I'm capable of learning, choosing, growing. You don't have to drop the old story all at once. That would be another form of force. But you can start to loosen your grip. Each time you pause before assuming the worst, each time you ask what else might be true, each time you respond to yourself with calm instead of cruelty, you are living the heart of Stoic practice. You are saying to your inner child, you were right to feel scared, you were right to be confused, but the conclusions you had to reach back then are not the final truth of who we are. We can choose differently now. As sleep comes closer, feel the steadiness of that idea. You are not at the mercy of every story your mind tells. You can witness those stories, question them, and over time, replace them with ones that are rooted in reality and kindness. Your past happened. It matters. But it is not the only thing that gets to speak about your future. You have spent years turning against yourself whenever you were in pain. Perhaps you told yourself, other people have it worse. I should shut up. Perhaps you tried to drown your feelings in distraction, work, or numbness. Perhaps you judged yourself for feeling anything at all. Why am I still upset about this? I'm pathetic. From the perspective of Buddhist compassion, none of this is necessary. You are not weak for suffering. You are simply human. Buddhist teachings say that suffering is universal. Everyone who is born experiences loss, fear, disappointment, illness, aging, death. No one escapes. The fact that you hurt does not mean you are defective. It means your heart is alive and has been touched by life. Your inner child learned that their pain was a problem. Maybe they were told they were too sensitive or overdramatic. Maybe they were ignored or mocked or punished when they cried. Maybe they saw the adults in their life so overwhelmed that they didn't want to add to their burden, so they swallowed their tears and said, "I'm fine." When you say "I'm fine," but your body is screaming, your heart slowly hardens. Not because you are cruel, but because no one showed you another way. Compassion is that other way. Compassion is not pity. It is not looking down on yourself as a helpless victim. It is the clear seeing that says, you are in pain, and that pain matters. It deserves a kind response, not an attack. Imagine again your inner child, sitting alone in that small inner room. They are not trying to ruin your life with anxiety or sadness. They are still carrying feelings that were never allowed to be felt, questions that were never answered, needs that were never met. If you saw a real child like that, shivering in a corner, tears in their eyes, clutching their knees, you would not stand over them and shout, "Get over it." You would not tell them, "Other kids have it worse. Stop being ungrateful." You would feel something in your chest soften. You would want to offer warmth. You deserve that same softness from yourself. Loving kindness meditation, a core practice in Buddhism, often begins with simple phrases directed toward yourself, like, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself just as I am." At first, these words may feel strange, even fake. The inner critic might interrupt. "You don't deserve kindness. This is cringe. This is pointless." That's okay. You are not trying to convince yourself instantly. You are planting seeds in soil that has been dry for a long time. Think of how long you have been practicing the opposite phrases. "May I never make a mistake, or I'm worthless." "May I always make others happy even if I suffer." "May I punish myself every time I feel weak." Those phrases are not spoken out loud, but they have been repeated inside you for years. No wonder self-compassion feels unfamiliar. It is a new language. As you lie here, you might try a gentle experiment. Place a hand on your chest or your belly. Feel the warmth. Silently, in your mind, say, "This is hard. Of course I'm tired. Of course I feel this way, given what I've lived." You're not making excuses. You're stating reality with tenderness. When a wave of sadness, loneliness, or fear rises, notice your first reaction. Is it to shut it down? To distract? To scold yourself? If so, see if you can add one more line. And yet, even this feeling deserves kindness. Compassion does not mean indulging every impulse. It doesn't mean letting yourself act in harmful ways without consequences. It means that when you see your own pain, you respond with understanding rather than contempt. You can think of compassion as becoming your own good parent. A good parent does not say, "Do whatever you want, I don't care." They say, "I care deeply. I will set boundaries when needed, but I will never abandon you because you are struggling." Your inner child has been abandoned emotionally many times, both by others and by you. When you feel anxious or sad and you tell yourself, "What's wrong with you? Get over it," that is another abandonment. Compassion is the opposite. "I see you. I'm not going anywhere. We will face this together." Sometimes people fear that if they are kind to themselves, they will become lazy, self-indulgent, or stuck. But think again about the child learning to ride a bike. If every time they fall, someone screams at them, shames them, calls them hopeless, how eager will they be to get back on? If instead someone says, "That hurt, I know. Take a breath. You're doing well. Try again when you're ready. The child learns that falling is part of learning, not a verdict on their worth. You are that child now, learning how to live with your own history. Each time you respond to your pain with compassion, you make it easier for yourself to try again, to grow, to reach out, to be honest. Compassion doesn't block change, it fuels it. You can also extend compassion to the people who hurt you, if and when you are ready, not to excuse what they did, but to understand that they too were likely shaped by their own pain. This step is optional and should never be forced. Your first responsibility is to your own healing. But one day, you might look at a memory of a shouting parent and see, not a monster, but a frightened, overwhelmed adult who never learned to handle their feelings. You might see how multi-generational the pain is, how many children grew up without examples of healthy love. That realization does not erase what happened. It simply allows your heart to soften enough that your identity is no longer built around being a victim of cruelty. You become someone who has suffered and chosen to respond with depth instead of bitterness. As you breathe, quietly repeat to yourself some version of these phrases. May I be gentle with myself. May I forgive myself for not knowing what I know now. May I learn to love the parts of me I've hated. Your inner child may not fully believe you yet. They might be waiting to see if this kindness is real or just another phase. That's okay. You build trust, not with grand declarations, but with small, consistent acts. Not yelling at yourself when you're overwhelmed, allowing yourself to rest, reaching out for help without calling yourself weak. Tonight, the act is simple. You are not turning away from your pain. You are lying here, listening, breathing, allowing the truth of your story to exist without smothering it. That, in itself, is compassion. Let it wash over you like warm water. Let the idea settle that you do not have to earn kindness by being better. You need kindness precisely because you are struggling, because you are human, because you have carried so much for so long. Your inner child has cried for years with no one listening. Tonight, at last, there is someone sitting beside them who cares. That someone is you. You have tried to fix yourself in 1,000 ways. You've read books, watched videos, made promises, set goals, created plans. You've sworn that tomorrow you will be different, more confident, less anxious, more productive, less emotional. Sometimes you manage it for a while. Then old patterns return, and the critic says, "See, you'll never change." It can feel like your whole life is a self-improvement project. Taoism and Zen offer a radical alternative. Stop treating yourself like a broken object that must be repaired. Taoism speaks of the Tao, the natural way of things, the flow of life. Water doesn't argue with the riverbed. Trees don't shame themselves for losing leaves in autumn. The seasons do not hurry or apologize. They simply move, cycle, unfold. You too are part of nature. But somewhere along the way, you learn to talk to yourself as if you were an enemy, as if every flaw is a personal failure, as if every emotion is a sign that something is wrong with you. Wu Wei, a key Taoist idea, is often translated as non-doing or effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting in harmony with your nature and with reality, instead of forcing and fighting everything. Think of all the times you have forced yourself. Forced yourself not to cry. Forced yourself to stay when you wanted to leave. Forced yourself to say yes when your whole body screamed no. Forced yourself to keep moving when you needed rest. Forced yourself to get over it when your heart was not ready. Each act of inner violence may have seemed necessary at the time. You were trying to survive. But over years, this constant fighting against your own feelings has exhausted you. Zen stories often point to the absurdity of trying to control the mind with more mind. A famous story tells of a student who goes to a teacher and says, "My mind is restless. It jumps everywhere. Please help me quiet it." The teacher says, "Bring me your mind, and I will quiet it." The student searches and finally says, "I cannot find my mind." The teacher replies, "Then I have already quieted it." The point is not that anxiety disappears magically, but that sometimes the harder we chase peace, the more we stir things up. We add struggle on top of struggle. As you lie here, feel for a moment the pressure you've put on yourself to heal fast, to finally get it together. Feel how tight that pressure is, like a hand around your throat. Notice that this pressure is itself an old pattern, the same urgency that once drove you to be the perfect child, the perfect student, the perfect partner. What if healing does not respond well to pressure? Imagine a flower. You can't make it open faster by pulling on its petals. You can only give it water, light, and good soil, and trust that its timing will unfold as it must. Pulling on the petals only damages the flower. Your inner life is similar. You cannot bully it into wholeness. You can only create conditions, awareness, kindness, small actions, and then allow change to grow in its own way. Zen asks you to return again and again to this moment, exactly as it is, without demanding it be different. Right now, in this body, in this room, in this hour of the night, what is here? There is breathing, there is weight on the bed, there is sound, perhaps faint noises outside, perhaps deep silence. There are sensations, tension, warmth, coolness, heaviness. There are thoughts, coming and going, like birds passing overhead. You do not need to chase or fight any of it. You can let it be. Picture your thoughts as leaves floating down a stream. One leaf carries a memory, another carries a worry, another carries a plan, another carries a self-criticism. You sit on the bank. You watch them go. The old you might have jumped into the water after every leaf, wrestling with it, shouting, "Why are you here? Go away." The Zen part of you learns to watch instead. Ah, there is a thought that I'm not enough. There is fear about tomorrow. There is a memory of childhood. You are not denying their existence. You are changing your relationship to them. You are no longer letting every thought drag you under. This watching awareness, calm, spacious, gentle, is also part of you. It is older than your wounds. It is the sky in which your storms happen. Taoism also speaks of unlearning, letting go of forced ideas and returning to a simpler way of being. You have learned many harsh rules. Always be strong, never show weakness. Be useful or disappear. Unlearning means questioning whether those rules truly serve the person you are now. You might ask, what if it were okay for me to be tired sometimes? What if it were okay for me not to have answers? What if it were okay for me to feel sad without fixing it? These questions are small cracks in the armor of perfection. Through those cracks, something alive can breathe. Instead of setting dramatic resolutions like, "I will never overthink again," a Taoist Zen approach might look like, "Tonight, when overthinking shows up, I will notice it and let at least some of it drift past without following every thread." Instead of, "I will never feel insecure again," it might be, "When insecurity arrives, I will treat it as a visitor rather than a dictator." Your inner child is tired of being pushed. They have been pushed by others, and they have been pushed by you. What they crave now is not another plan, but a different energy. You can imagine sitting by a river with your inner child. They are fidgeting, worried. "We have to fix everything," they say. "We have to become someone better. We have to be worthy." You watch the water for a moment. You listen to the sound of it moving over stones. Then you say, "Look, the river keeps flowing. Even when we do nothing, the world keeps turning. Our breath keeps coming in and out. The child looks up at you, confused. But what about all our problems? We will face them, you say. We will act when we can, but we don't have to solve everything at once. We don't have to solve everything tonight. Right now, we just sit here. We breathe. We let the river move. Wu Wei is this: acting when action is needed, resting when rest is needed, not out of laziness, but out of respect for reality. There are things you can do. Go to therapy, talk to a friend, set boundaries, change habits. There are also things you cannot do. Rewind time, rewrite other people's brains, control the outcome of every choice. Peace comes when you stop trying to do the impossible. As you sink deeper into the mattress, feel the support beneath you. You are not holding yourself up by sheer force of will. Gravity is doing that work. Without your effort, your heart is beating without you ordering each beat. Your body knows how to keep you alive. This is the energy of the Tao within you, life moving even when you are tired. You do not have to push yourself into healing. You can walk toward it, gently, one step at a time, trusting that your nature, once no longer attacked, will move toward wholeness on its own. Tonight, the practice is simple. Whenever you catch yourself straining to heal, to understand, to fix, you can soften just a bit. Let your jaw unclench. Let your shoulders drop. Let yourself say, "I've done enough for now. I can rest." There is nothing lazy about rest when you've been carrying the world on your back. By now, you have gathered a circle of inner allies, understanding of your patterns, stoic clarity, compassionate warmth, Taoist softness, Zen presence. You are more equipped than you were when we began. Tonight, we use all of that to walk gently back through your memories, not to drown in them, but to visit them with the support you never had. Make yourself comfortable. Feel the fabric under your body, the weight of your head, the temperature of the air. Let your breathing find a slow, steady rhythm. In your mind, imagine yourself standing at the entrance to that inner corridor again, the hallway of your life. The floor is solid beneath your feet, the walls are lined with frames, each one holding a moment from your past. This time, you are not a child wandering this hall alone. You are your current self, holding the lamp of awareness in one hand and the gentle presence of compassion in the other. You are not here to judge. You are here to witness. Take a step forward. The first frame you come to shows you at a very young age. You might see a bedroom, a kitchen, a yard, or just a vague sense of a place. You see your small body, the way you hold yourself, the expression on your face, the way you sit or stand. Look closely. Does this child seem relaxed or tense, curious or wary, alone or accompanied? What is the atmosphere around them like? You watch as a scene unfolds. Maybe someone raises a voice. Maybe someone leaves. Maybe someone criticizes. Maybe no one does anything at all, and that's the problem. A silence so heavy it grips the child's heart. See the child's reaction. Do they flinch? Do they freeze? Do they try to fix things? Make a joke? Apologize? Make themselves useful? Or do they disappear into their own world? You do not interrupt or explain away what you see. You simply let your heart register. This happened to me. You might whisper in your mind, "I see you. You were not imagining it. It was real." When you are ready, you move to another frame. In the next picture, you might be a little older, maybe school age. You might see yourself at school, on a playground, in a classroom, sitting alone at a desk, or in a crowd. Maybe you see a moment when you were left out, teased, or misunderstood. Maybe you see yourself trying to be perfect, trying to get praise, trying to stand out or blend in. You observe the child's face before and after the moment. You see the hope, the fear, the confusion. You see how much they wanted to belong, to be seen, to feel safe. Again, you do not rush to tell yourself it wasn't that bad. You let the child's experience be what it was. Big, overwhelming, important. You might say, no wonder you ended up believing that you had to be a certain way to be accepted. No wonder you learned to hide parts of yourself. Move further down the hallway. You come to images of your teenage years or early adulthood. Perhaps you see your first heartbreak, or a moment of humiliation, or a fight at home. Perhaps you see yourself staring at a mirror, criticizing your body. Perhaps you see yourself pretending to be fine around friends while feeling hollow inside. You might see yourself late at night, much like now, lying in the dark with headphones on or staring at a ceiling, feeling utterly alone. Back then, you did not have this language, this insight, these inner tools. You just had raw feeling and no guide. Stand beside that younger you for a moment in your mind. See the posters on the wall, the phone on the bedside table, the glow of a screen, the items in the room. Feel the loneliness they felt, not to drown in it, but to honor it. You might say, you went through so much without understanding why. I'm sorry you had to make sense of it all by yourself. As you move through the corridor, you may notice that some frames are blurry or empty. You might not remember large chunks of your childhood. That's okay. Memory is not a video archive. The absence of clear images is itself a sign. Sometimes the mind protects us by dulling the details. You can still offer compassion to the child you don't remember. Whatever you experienced then, I trust that it mattered. I trust that it shaped me. I hold space for those lost years too. Eventually you come to more recent frames. Adult relationships, jobs, friendships. You see patterns now. Saying yes when you wanted to say no. Laughing off hurtful comments. Staying with people who didn't truly cherish you. Overworking until you burned out. In each frame, notice how the adult you look strikingly similar to the child. The same tight shoulders, the same forced smile, the same defeated eyes. You don't need to shame yourself for this. You can simply think, of course I repeated what I knew. That doesn't make me bad. It makes me human. As you walk, you might also notice frames of joy, moments when you felt truly alive, loved, or peaceful. Don't skip those. They are just as real as the pain. Let your heart remember them too. A laugh with a friend. A quiet afternoon where you felt at ease. A small success that made you proud. A time someone was unexpectedly kind. All of these are part of your story. Finally, you reach the end of the corridor where the familiar closed door stands. Behind it is your youngest, most vulnerable self, the inner child who carries your earliest wounds, your original fears, your first questions. This time, you sit down in front of the door and lean your back against it, like before. Feel its solidity. Feel your own weight, your breathing. You might speak through the door. I've walked through our memories. I've seen more of what you lived. I understand a little more now why you're so afraid, why you react the way you do. I'm not here to tell you to get over it. I'm here to say, you make sense. You don't need the child to respond. They might be listening quietly, their ear against the other side. They might be skeptical, thinking, you'll forget about me tomorrow. They might be relieved to finally be acknowledged. You stay. In your mind, you can imagine placing your hand against the door. Maybe, on the other side, a smaller hand presses back. Maybe not yet. Whether or not you feel it, the act of reaching matters. Then gently, you can say, when you are ready, I want to meet you. Not through this door, but face to face. I want to hear your story from your own mouth. I want to tell you what I've learned too. We don't have to rush. I'll be back. You stand up and, in your imagination, walk back down the corridor past all the frames. This time, you know you can return whenever you choose. The corridor is no longer a haunted gallery you stumble through by accident. It is a place of understanding you can visit with support. As your awareness returns more fully to your body in bed, feel the difference between then and now. You are not trapped in those scenes anymore. You have more choices, more language, more inner resources. The child in those frames did the best they could with what they had, and you, in this moment, are doing the best you can with what you have now. The past is real. The impact is real. But you are no longer only that past. In the next chapter, we will imagine the door opening and practice reparenting, speaking to the child inside with the kind of love and wisdom you needed back then. For now, let your breath be slow and deep, knowing that simply walking through those memories with gentleness is already an act of healing. Now, we step inside. Reparenting means becoming, for yourself, the kind of caregiver you should have had. Not a perfect one, not an all-knowing one, but a present, kind, honest one. Close your eyes if they're not closed already. Feel your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Feel how the bed holds your weight. In your mind, see the inner door again. You are standing before it. The corridor behind you is full of memories you've now seen more clearly. You place your hand gently on the handle. You might feel some fear. What if I can't handle what I find? What if I do this wrong? Remember, this is imagination, not a test. There is no single correct way. Your intention, to meet yourself with love, is what matters most. When you feel ready, imagine opening the door. On the other side is a room. It might look like your childhood bedroom or a place you visited often as a child. It might be more symbolic. A simple space with soft light, a few objects, a bed, a window. Allow whatever appears to appear. Somewhere in this room is your inner child. You see them. Maybe they are very small, 4 or 5 years old. Maybe they are older, 7, 10, 12. Maybe different ages are present together, like a little family of yous, each representing a different time. However, they show up as welcome. Notice how they hold themselves. Are their shoulders hunched? Are they hugging their knees? Are they pacing? Are they hiding behind furniture? Are they staring out a window? Your first act as the inner parent is simple. You do not turn away. You walk slowly into the room and sit down nearby, not too close. You don't want to overwhelm them. You just want them to know you are here. In your mind, say gently, "Hi, it's me. I'm you, but older. I know this might feel strange. You've been alone in here for a long time. I'm sorry it took me so long to come." The child might react in many ways. They might ignore you, shrug, or say nothing. They might look at you with suspicion, as if thinking, "Are you really going to stay, or will you disappear too?" They might run to you and cling, or burst into tears. Whatever happens, your job is not to control their reaction. Your job is to stay. You can continue. I've been learning about you. I've been walking through our memories. I didn't understand before now just how much you went through. I want to hear from you. I want to know what it's like in here. If you feel able, you can ask, "How are you feeling?" Don't worry if no clear words appear. Sometimes children don't answer with sentences. They answer with sensations. Heaviness, shaking, numbness. You can talk to that too. "I can feel it's heavy in here," you might say. "It feels lonely. It feels tense. That makes sense." If the child does speak, even if it's just one word like scared or angry or sad, treat that word as precious. You can respond, "Of course you feel that way. It makes sense you're scared after everything that happened. It makes sense you're angry. It makes sense you're sad." You are giving them what they never consistently received: validation. In this room, there are no overreactions. There are no too sensitive. There is only honesty. Maybe the child shares specific memories. They shouted. They left. They laughed at me. They didn't listen. They said I was stupid. They said I was dramatic. They said I was lazy. Let them speak, even if the memories you see are symbolic rather than exact. Each time you can say, "That was not fair. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry you went through that. I believe you." You can also apologize for the ways your adult self has continued the pattern. You might say, "I'm sorry I've been harsh with you. I'm sorry I've repeated the things they said. I'm sorry that when you were scared, I told you to shut up and keep going. I didn't know how else to survive. I thought being hard on you would protect us, but I see now that it hurt you further. I'm trying to learn a new way." The child may soften when they hear this. They may start to cry. They may turn away. All are okay. What matters is that you are speaking from truth. You can also answer some of the old questions they've been carrying. If they ask, "Was it my fault?" you say firmly, "No, you were a child. The way they acted was about their own pain, their own limitations. You did not cause their dysfunction." If they ask, "Why didn't they love me better?" you can say, "They loved in the ways they were capable of, which were not always the ways you needed. They should have done better. It hurts that they didn't. But their inability to love you well does not mean you were unlovable. It means they were limited." If they say, "I must be bad," you can say, "You are not bad. You are sensitive and strong and confused and human. You made mistakes, yes, like all children do, but nothing you did ever justified the pain you went through." This is reparenting, offering truth that heals instead of lies that wound. You can also bring in the wisdom you've learned from philosophy and compassion, from Stoicism. Some of the stories you told yourself back then, that you are worthless, that you are a burden, were stories, not facts. They felt true because you were small and scared. I'm here to help you see other possibilities. From compassion, your suffering matters. You don't have to be tough all the time. You deserve to be comforted. From Taoism and Zen, we don't have to fix everything tonight. We can sit together. We can breathe. We can allow your feelings to rise and fall without forcing them away. You might imagine taking the child's hand if they let you. If they pull back, that's okay. You can say, "I won't touch you without your permission. I respect your boundaries. I'm here whether or not you're ready to be close." Trust grows slowly. Perhaps you invite the child to show you something, a drawing, a favorite toy, a place in the room. This might seem small, but it matters. It shows them you care about their world, not just about fixing them. You can also tell them about your present life. You might say, "Out there, where I live now, we are older. We have more freedom than you had. We have people who care, even if not always perfectly. We have access to information and support you didn't have back then. We are not stuck in this house anymore. Even though it sometimes feels like it, I want to bring you with me into that bigger world, bit by bit." You don't promise them perfection. You don't promise that no one will ever hurt them again. That would be a lie. Instead, you promise them presence. "I cannot guarantee that everyone will always love us the way we deserve," you say. "But I can promise you this. I will do my best not to abandon you again. When you are scared, I will listen. When you are sad, I will sit with you. When the critic attacks you, I will defend you." You might imagine wrapping a blanket around the child's shoulders. or sitting with your back against theirs, or, if it feels right, letting them sit in your lap. The exact image does not matter. What matters is the sense of warmth. At some point, you may need to leave the room in your imagination to return to your present awareness, to sleep. Tell the child this honestly. Don't vanish without saying goodbye. That would repeat the old pattern. You can say, "I need to go now, but I am not locking you in here. This room is open. You can come find me in my life, and I will come back to visit you too. We are not strangers anymore." You might imagine the door staying open a crack as you leave. Light from the corridor spills into the room. The child is no longer in total darkness. As you return your focus to your body on the bed, feel what it's like to know that part of you is no longer entirely locked away. Their feelings may come closer to the surface in the coming days. More vivid memories, stronger emotions. That is not a setback. It is a sign they are beginning to trust that someone will finally listen. You can remind yourself, when my feelings surge, it might be my inner child reaching out. My job is not to silence them, but to respond with as much patience as I can. You will not reparent perfectly. No one does. There will be days you forget, days you fall back into old self-attacks, days you feel too tired to be kind. When that happens, you can practice reparenting again. I slipped. That's okay. I start again. The role of the good inner parent is not about never failing. It is about always returning. Tonight you have taken a brave step into that role. Let that sink in as your body melts further into rest. You have looked at your childhood with clearer eyes. You have seen how your body remembers what your mind forgets. You have traced your patterns in love, work, and daily life back to the younger you who drew the first maps. You have brought in Stoic reason to question harsh stories, Buddhist compassion to soften your heart, Taoist and Zen gentleness to stop waging war against yourself. You have walked the corridor of your memories and stepped into the room where your inner child waits. That is a profound amount of inner work for one night. If you feel tired, let that tiredness arrive fully. It is different from the exhaustion of pretending. This is the kind of tiredness that comes after honesty, after finally letting yourself feel the weight of what you've carried. As you lie here now, feel the support beneath you. The bed is steady. The pillow cradles your head. The blanket holds you. Gravity pulls you down in a simple, constant embrace. You do not have to try to be held. You are being held. For many years, nights may have been frightening. The moment everything went quiet, your thoughts became loud. The inner critic would replay every mistake, old memories surfaced without your consent. Loneliness expanded in the dark. Tonight, the night has been something different. The darkness has been a backdrop for understanding, not just for fear. The story you carry about yourself will not transform overnight. The child in you will not suddenly feel completely safe. The critic will not decide to retire just because you listen to this journey. Your body will not instantly release years of tension, but something important has shifted. The way you relate to all of that. You are no longer only the frightened child. You are no longer only the harsh inner parent. You have discovered a third presence, the aware, caring, steady self who can hold both. This part of you can say, "Yes, I am scared, and I can still breathe. Yes, I feel shame, and I can still speak kindly to myself. Yes, my body is tense, and I don't have to call it weak. Yes, my past was painful, and my future is not condemned to be a copy of it." This is the new story beginning to form. Not a fairy tale where everything is perfect, but a living, evolving narrative. I am someone who was hurt. I am someone who survived. I am someone who is learning to live, not just survive. You are allowed to hold all three truths at once. Tomorrow, life will still be life. There will be responsibilities, messages, worries, moments of joy, moments of stress. Your patterns will show up again because they are well practiced. You might over-apologize. You might feel anxious about a text. You might push yourself too hard. You might avoid a hard conversation. You might hear the critic's old lines echoing in your mind. When that happens, it does not mean that nothing has changed. It means you are human, and change takes time. The difference now is that when these patterns arise, you can notice them as patterns. Instead of simply being swept away, you can pause, even for a second, and say, this is my inner child trying to protect me. This is my critic using its old script. This is my body remembering. In that pause, something new can happen. You might put a hand on your heart before answering a message. You might breathe twice before replying to criticism. You might tell yourself, I made a mistake, but I am not a mistake. You might choose to rest 10 minutes earlier than usual. You might whisper, I'm here, when you feel the familiar wave of panic. These are small actions, but they are not small in impact. Every gentle choice is a message to your inner child. This time, I will not abandon you. I am learning to care for you. You will forget many times. You will fall into old reactions and only realize it later. That is part of the process. When you notice it, you can practice reparenting again. I see that I yelled at myself today. I'm sorry. I was scared. Let's try again. Healing is not about never messing up. It's about how you treat yourself after you mess up. As sleep comes closer, you can let go of the need to remember every insight from this journey. Your conscious mind may forget parts of it by morning. That's okay. Your deeper self has already absorbed what it needed. Think of this work like seeds planted in dark soil. You don't see them growing, but something is happening below the surface. Roots are forming quietly, invisibly. Shoots will appear in their own time. Tonight, your only job is to rest and let the soil be. If you like, you can imagine your inner child lying beside you now, in your bed or in some safe inner space. Maybe they are smaller, curled up against your side. Maybe they are simply close enough that you can reach out and hold their hand. You don't need to say much. A few simple words are enough. We made it through a lot. We're still here. I won't leave you. You might repeat a short phrase to yourself as you drift. I am allowed to rest. I am learning to be on my own side. I don't have to fix everything tonight. Let your breath be soft and slow. In and out. In and out. If thoughts about tomorrow come, you can gently tell them, not now. Tomorrow will get its turn. Tonight is for rest. If old memories try to replay, you can say, I see you. We've begun to understand you. But right now, we sleep. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the heaviness in your eyelids. Feel the way the edges of your awareness blur, like clouds drifting over the moon. The corridor of your past is still there, but you are not trapped wandering it. The room of your inner child is still there, but the door is no longer locked. The critic may still murmur, but it is no longer the only voice you hear. There is also the quiet, steady presence of you, the one who chose to listen tonight, who chose to care, who chose to stay. As you finally slide into sleep, know this. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you are. And that is where healing always begins. Not in some imagined perfect future, but here, in this imperfect human moment, with this breath, in this body. Let go now. Let your thoughts dissolve. Let the dark become soft around you. You have done enough for this night.